just look at it, Jeff?
Just look at it. What a beast. This is a pre-YouTube channel project, isn't it, buddy?
Yeah, so I got roped into doing this. Oh, it'd have to be 3 years ago now, at least, wouldn't it, Matt?
And that, and the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
If you're a keen viewer of the channel, you actually probably would have seen this little lady once upon a time in a previous video while we're out cruising. That was in V1.0 of the build, and it's time to step up your game, isn't it, buddy?
To the next level.
So, compound turbo, something a little bit different.
Yeah, we've been keen to get this one on video for a while now, and the opportunity has arisen. Matt's built a nice new engine for it, so it's all out of the car, so perfect opportunity to come and take a look before...
Check out Spaghetti Junction.
Yeah, this took me quite a long time to fabricate all this and get it all to fit. It was a brainchild of Matt's for, what, a number of years?
10 years.
Yeah, and Matt's a heavy duty diesel mechanic, so he works with compound stuff on and off fairly regularly. And he wanted to do something different. Like, I know we've put this up on Facebook before and people are like, why would you? Because we can. That's just what, it was a little project, and it's been a bit of a baby between myself. I've put a lot of effort and time and research into the stuff that I've done. Matt has as well. And, you know, our other friend Corey with the driveline stuff. So we've all put a bit of effort into just seeing what we can come up with. And yeah, it's cool to see on the stand. So come around this way, have a look over here, Jeff.
Yeah, man, let's take a deep dive and we'll have a quick look. Look at this mess, mate.
Yep, we'll go over just a quick rundown of this, because this is really the really unique part about this build. Really, is just all this stuff. So it come to my joint, and it was there for a few months, and it was one of those projects where you sort of just gotta, like I always say, suck it and see. We just started with the manifold from scratch. It's all 1.25 inch steam pipe bends. And I just started laying pipes in, and eventually this is what I come up with. All good gear used in. We've got a S360 turbo here, and this one's an S400, which we'll probably be upgrading a little bit later, won't we, Matt?
Yeah, a little bit.
We'll definitely probably leave this one alone. Might get something a bit nicer inside, maybe. Depends how much money you feel like spending. But this one is definitely on the small side to take advantage of what we're really doing here, which is trying to get a large turbo to spool quicker than what it would in a single stage. So yeah, this one is a true compound. I know a lot of other people out there, they have problems with overspeeding this little baby, and in my opinion, and it's probably an uneducated opinion, but whatever, I'm going to give it anyway, I don't think people put enough wastegate before this one. Obviously this thing starts pushing a lot of volume through the engine, which you're going to have more exhaust gases coming out. So if you can't control the boost of what this manifold's feeding this little thing, you can start overspeeding that way. So we've got two, what are these, 45mm gates?
45mm.
Yeah, 45mm Turbo Smart gates under here. They've both got good flow out of the collector. It's really hard to see up in here. I hope the video does it justice. This was a packaging nightmare, it really was, especially the car's a JZX100 Chaser, so...
It's not like we're dealing with a massive engine bay. It's fairly tight in there. You got strut towers to miss and all the rest of it.
I think they're fairly similar to a Super Bay, are they, Matt?
I think the Super might be a little bit wider, a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but either way, we did want to try and get everything under the bonnet, and we failed by a little bit. How much does it hang out the bottom, Matt?
That doesn't really, it's just the bonnet.
Yeah,
So you did a pretty good
like
job
you could
there.
put a pretty subtle bulge on it and it would be fine,
But it's just the top of the intake housing just crests out the bonnet. So you got real close.
Yeah, if these were like Garrett turbos or precision turbos, I would have been able to do it. These are literally the bulkiest turbo that you can buy per like wheel size. Everyone knows Borgies are bulky, but they're also pretty well priced, and they're super robust as well. So that's why we went that way with that.
So, I mean, I guess for the uninitiated, how does this even work? Like, let's go back to basics. Why? Like, obviously you compound to try and get that on the spool, but in which direction does this flow? Because it's hard to tell with all the pipes going everywhere. You've got essentially a manifold turbo and a secondary turbo. Which, you know, show us how it goes.
So this is the primary stage of turbo right here, and this is the secondary. So basically it works normal. It goes through this turbo, and the turbine out of this feeds this turbine, and then it works the opposite way for the compressor side. So it pulls through the larger one, and so you've got one stage of compression right here, and then it comes down, and then you get another stage of compression there, and that's how you can get the ultra high boost pressures that you're chasing. A lot of when you're getting up around, you know, like 90, 100 psi, which is not what this will do, but you can only go so far with a single stage of turbocharging basically. So you can get heaps higher boost pressures with the compound, which is why the diesel guys do it. But in the petrol sense, this is more, you can put a much larger turbo and it still won't be lazy, because this one will start doing a bit of lifting first.
So for the uninitiated, they're probably going to tell you straight up, Kurt, that turbo is way bigger than that turbo, so how is that turbo going to flow? Because you got to think it's a compression. It's not about outright flow. It's you're pulling air in and compressing it and compacting it. Yeah. And then you're doing the same thing again. You're compacting it again. So there's a difference between like flow and I mean, it gets real confusing, and I haven't really looked into the science of this for a couple of years. It's been 3 or 4 years since I did it, but the easiest way that I've ever sort of come across an explanation, and the easiest way I've seen it explained, is that small turbo doesn't know how much air it's getting. It doesn't care. It's dumb in the fact that it doesn't know or care. All it knows is that it has to compress it. It's squish. So all it's going to do is squish what goes in. Exactly. There. So it doesn't matter how much air that big thing pushes into it. That is just going to take it and compress it further.
Exactly. Essentially making it more efficient, because it doesn't know what atmospheric pressure it's working in. So at atmospheric pressure here, where this turbo is working, it can only suck atmospheric pressure. Yeah. So down here, all you're doing is creating a denser atmosphere for this to work in. So it can already suck denser air. It's working more efficiently. It can compress more. It's compressing that. You're fitting more air in the same space, more or less.
Exactly. So, and I mean, I'm sure we'll get told we're doing it wrong or whatever. We've had this car running. It had the stock 1J in it initially, and my biggest concern was this baller reed case turbo 400 back here, which obviously sucks a fair bit of power as well, but perfect for the setup. Yeah, my biggest concern with this from the get-go was boost control. With this setup, boost control, because it's compounding, means your problems with boost control compound really quickly as well. So didn't know how well we'd be able to get it on low boost. I was thinking this thing's just going to shoot to the moon no matter what we do, or thinking that could be the case, but no. How much boost did you run it on the stock motor?
You put about 14 psi.
Yeah, 14 psi. Stock 1J. Everyone knows stock 1Js aren't the most. They're not a 2J. Let's put it that way. But you know, it held up right. Didn't make a hell of a lot of power, but it had no fuel system. You know, just wanted to prove the concept, which leads us to this motor now. So the motor's pretty stout. I guess I'll cover the rest. This is 3.5 inch. We've got a 4-inch dump over here. We've got 2-inch wastegate pipes either way. So any wastegate, any exhaust that we don't want going through this secondary turbo gets bypassed and goes straight into the primary turbo. We've got the exhaust is plumbed back as well, the wastegate. Single 4-inch exhaust you can see over there on the rack. So we've got a single 4-inch exhaust from the front to the back. It's actually pretty quiet because there's one muffler there, and there's another muffler and another muffler, so it's got 3 mufflers. These are my favourite type of muffler, by the way. And then moving on, so like I said before, we didn't have the fuel system and that to make any power anyway. We sort of just wanted to prove the concept and get it going. Matt's, this is another complete engine that Matt's just built, brand new, fresh. Quick rundown from the bottom up, it's got a stock crank in it. It's got Carrillo rods, CP pistons. How much comp you got in this?
Standard comp.
What's standard comp? 9 to 1, so that's pretty good.
And it's all from the guys at Real Street, who are pretty onto it when it comes to Toyota straight six stuff.
Yeah, they don't do a lot of 1J stuff, admittedly, but they still help Matt out with all that, and you were pretty happy with the service, weren't you?
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got this Kinsler mechanical fuel pump as well, so we're not going to have any fuel system worries. I think this one flows up over the 3 gallons a minute at, what was it, 4,000 RPM or whatever it is, so plenty of fuel anyway. This thing is going to be on E85, so we've got the, obviously we've got the Plazmaman plenum, going to be using Plazzy clamps, Billet rocker covers. What have I missed? Oh, actually, the cylinder head. This thing is a beast, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah.
So, where do I start? Besides these billet covers here, we've got billet steel cams in it. They're in the...
Hey, they're not bolted on. You can pull that up. We can have a look. Ooh,
Have a quick look.
nice.
So those, I had a look at the cam card before. It's like 272.
272 on the intake, 274 on the exhaust.
Yeah, so decent sized cams. Now this cylinder head was done by Ram's Head Service, and so they've done their full CNC port job on it. What do they do? They machine it out to the, what is it, 31 or 32 mil shimless buckets. I think this is one of their like big dog packages as far as like overhead cam heads go. They do a pretty good job. So
Yeah.
1 mil oversized valves. What else have I forgot there, Matt? That's pretty much it. It should help make a
It's
lot
got
of
a
power
gangster
anyway.
CNC port job on it as well.
Yeah, I mentioned that. So it's got the nice port job, and yeah, the cylinder head is most certainly not going to hold this thing back. That's for damn sure.
PRP mandrel there for the fuel pump, as well as the R35 coil
Yeah,
kit.
coils. We've got the trigger kit.
Yep, that sweet ATI balancer as well. Everything is, you know, you've spent the money on good quality gear. Essentially, it's do it once, do it right, one and done.
So it'll be interesting to see how it goes now that we can actually turn it up. But I don't know. I thought it'd be cool to show you guys anyway. It's something a little bit different. It's pretty hard to see things different these days. Whether it's for the reason that you think it's good or bad, it's different and it works. And it's just a fun project as well. So
That's it. So essentially, what's the story with it, Matt? It's a street car primarily.
It was, yeah, straight cars, just something different, and I think we sort of swung into more maybe a bit of drag now, but
Yeah.
yeah, essentially it was just something different, something no one else has done around here, so, and something to get the grey matter working, trying to get it to work.
For sure. So what's the end game? What's the goal? Obviously, you've probably come up with a power goal or an ET goal.
It'd be good to see 1,000 at the wheels, and we've got the gear to get us there.
Yeah.
But whether it gets there or not is another story.
That seems to be the new 500, doesn't it, Kurt? 1,000. If
Yeah.
you're not building a 1,000 horsepower car, what are you doing with your life?
yeah, and I already hear everyone saying like, why the hell would you go to all this effort? It's the expense compared to just putting a single like 70mm turbo on this thing to make 1,000 or 70 to 80, whatever.
Yeah.
There's tons more work, tons more expensive. Like we said, it's just something a little bit different.
Yeah.
We know it's not for everyone.
This
It's
car,
not as easy
this
to
car
work on.
already had a sweet single turbo setup on it. Made like what, 500 horse?
No, not quite that much, but yeah.
It was close. Yeah, like it was pretty good at the time. I mean, you could have just put another single turbo on it and gone for 1,000 that way. But
Everyone else has done that, so
Yeah.
let's take the path less traveled.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, something a bit different. So, yeah, I think 1,000 horsepower, it should do that, no worries at all, easily. But you know, obviously, you want to aim low and then go over the top. So, what seems to happen on most of our builds on the channel. I don't know. Don't let yourself down that way. So, pretty cool thing. All this stuff. The whole reason I've come here for as well is we've got this thing's going to have individual EGTs on it as well. So that's what I'm here for. I'm going to pick the manifold up. We're going to do the EGTs on it. This thing has a heap of Motec gear. We're going to do another video for that, so keep an eye out for that. We're going to show you all the Motec gear that's going on this. That's going to help control the, how many just tons of sensors. There's going to be back pressure sensors, EGTs, you know, sensors everywhere all over this thing. Shannon's he's going to have his bloody laptop screen just full of bloody traces of all sorts of things. So he'll be a bit of sport for him as as well.
But he'll have plenty of data. He won't be
Yeah.
short on data, that's
Yeah.
for sure. And
And
without
then-
data, all you got is opinions.
That's it. So once I've done the EGT stuff and the fabrication, this manifold and all the stuff will get sent off for powder coat and ceramic and whatever Matt wants to do. So it should look aesthetically really, really nice once it's all in. We've got more fab to do as well. Matt loves challenging me. He always wants me to fit the biggest, you know, he wants 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag every single time, and I reluctantly agree, and it always ends up turning out good in the end. We've got new coolers to put on. With the mechanical fuel pump, we're going to have a tank, a surge tank in the front here. Tons of AN hose. It's going to be full on. There's going to be crap everywhere, but keeps us entertained anyway. So, keep an eye out for the Motec video that's coming up next if you're into your air-fire stuff, because there's some really cool gear that it's not always common to see. But thanks for watching. Click the subscribe button. Jeff will put it here or there or there. Keep up to date with what we're doing, and we'll see you on the next one.